This is Trinesha Cottrell, and why should you be grateful? Listen, no, but seriously, the reasons why you should be grateful. I could break it down in three. I can go into my whole thing, but what I really want to do is just be true to myself. So what works for me is, let me tell you a little story. So why you should be grateful. When you are ungrateful for the things that it is that you have, it blocks your blessings. My pastor said something in church last Sunday, and he said the reason why some people's prayers aren't answered is because they're too busy being ungrateful. You're the person that's blocking your answered prayers. You're the reason for unanswered prayers because you're not being grateful. And when you think about it like that, you're like, "Ooh, am I really hindering my own blessings? Am I really the person that's standing in the way of the things that God can really do in my life? What is it that I need to do to change my perspective? What is it that I need to do to be a better person?" Because if you really are being ungrateful for the things that you already have, what are you going to do when you get more, but be more ungrateful? It's it's one of those things that sorry. I don't know what's going on with my voice, but it's just like it's a whole thing. I'm like, what in the world? But when you are ungrateful for your life, it really doesn't allow space for God to enter in more blessings. It doesn't give God the opportunity to show you what it is that He can do. You know, our God is the God of abundance. Can you imagine what He could do in our lives if we would stop being ungrateful? Can you imagine how many things could happen to benefit us if we could stop standing in our own way? Sometimes we will be the ones that are afraid to step into purpose, to do the things that it is that God places on us to do. And the whole time, God is saying, no, move out of the way. I need you to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Every time you take a step, I'll take two more. Every time you move towards the goal, I'll make it closer to you. You don't have to worry about it being so far away or unreachable because I'm the God of abundance and God can make the impossible possible. You are the only reason why you're not receiving that prayer that you prayed that went unanswered so far. It's not unanswered because God didn't hear you. It's unanswered because you're not willing to see it. You're not willing to take a step in the right direction to receive the things that God has for you. You know, every time in my life I start being thankful and grateful, God just opens up and makes everything that day happen so smooth and seamless. And when I get into a mood, which normal humans do, I emote, whatever else, something doesn't go my way, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I have to be positive. I know I feel this way. I know that this made me angry. I know that, or not angry. I usually get irritated. I don't usually get angry anymore, but I do get irritated about certain things. Like something will happen and I'll be like, and then I'm like, okay, like I gotta let it go because I can't hold on to that anger. That the love and the peace and the joy that God gives me can't live in the same place as hate and anger. It can't. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be sad and other emotions don't happen to you, but you can't live there and let that emotion overtake you. You have to make sure that you stay focused on God because God has more for your life and He can't give it to you in the same place that you want to hold hate. He can't. It's not enough space there. When I first rededicated my life to God, I really had to do a deep cleanse. I had to go in and clean out all of the things that were toxic that were holding me back. I went to counseling. I spent a lot of time in church and Bible study, spending a lot of time with God. I was listening to sermon after sermon. I really was super intentional about making sure that I was focused on God and I was doing the things necessary to get rid of all that those toxic characteristic traits. Any of the anger that I held on to or the resentment, any of the things that I did in the past that I knew that were wrong and I did it anyways, I went back and I apologized to people that I had wronged in the past. I made amends with a lot of different people. I started going through and really looking myself in the mirror and saying, how did you really feel in this moment? Because sometimes we lie to ourselves and we're like, oh no, I didn't care that that person did that. Oh no, I wasn't jealous in this instant. Oh no, I wasn't insecure because people don't get insecure when every single person has been insecure in their life at one point in one time. And it's usually something totally different for every single person. But because we want to be brave, because we want to make it seem like nothing ever happens to us, or we don't have any flaws, or we never feel those types of emotions. We try to make it seem as if that's not us. But when you're lying to yourself, you're not allowing yourself to grow. You are hindering yourself. The only way that you could become a better person is if you really acknowledge your true flaws, if you really give God all of your broken pieces. You have to say, okay, God, this thing really did make me feel jealous in this moment, but I don't want to feel that. I want to feel happy for the people around me, because I know that if you're doing this, the blessing is in the room. God, in this moment, I felt insecure because it brought me back to my childhood, and it made me think about all the times that people would leave. But leaving is something that's normal. And leaving doesn't mean that they don't love me. Leaving means that either this is a better decision for them, or this is just a normal occurrence of life, because things change as life does. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. You have to really be willing to say, God, I really truly feel this way. Not God, oh no, I'm fine. Every time I told God I was fine when I wasn't, it took forever for me to heal in certain areas. Like last year when I was really into this guy, I keep bringing him up. I don't know why, but I feel like he's a good example for whatever it is that I'm showing, that I'm trying to teach you through the things that I've been through. And so last year, while I was really having a hard time getting over this guy, I was lying to myself and to God. And I kept on saying, no, God, I don't want this guy. God, I don't like this guy. God, I'm good. I'm fine. I don't care about this. Who cares about that? I kept on lying and lying, and God was just waiting for me to be honest with him so that he could help me move on. And that's the reason why I think it took so long for me to move on and stop feeling guilty about the decisions that I made and things that I said and the way that I acted, and how I just didn't want to be honest with myself. I felt like I can't ever like anybody ever again. Why would I like somebody? I felt so guilty to myself, like I'm not supposed to ever like anybody again. Why is this happening to me? I felt so much regret, so much like shame. I don't want to say shame. That's a harsh, like huge, strong word, but but I just felt some type of way the whole time, just like God would say at the beginning, do you like this person? And I would keep saying, no, I don't like this person. And the whole time I did like the person. And he would say, do you want to be with this person? And I would say, no, he doesn't even like me. And I just would go on and on and on. And every month, every day, I would be talking to God about stuff, and I'd be like, but I don't care about this. And it's almost like God was giving me the face, like, I know, right? Like, why are you not just being honest about this so I can help you? And I kept thinking, I don't want to worry God with this. I want to just focus on this on my own. I can handle this. I can really handle this. I felt so much guilt because it was just like, why? I'm not supposed to ever like anybody again. I'm not supposed to ever, feel this way. I'm not supposed to be interested in anybody. And like, because I was pushing the person away, I just felt like, okay, well, if I'm pushing this person away, they obviously aren't that interested, because if they were, they would do. And I had like this image in my head of like this fake fantasy of what would actually happen, when in reality, that's not how humans really act. I just was really so over analytical, so in my head, so hard on myself. It didn't give me a chance to really acknowledge my feelings so that I can move on with my life. And it wasn't until I was like, God was like, do you want this person? And I said, yes. And he gave me an opportunity, and I didn't take it. I was so afraid. I was so afraid. I know people are like judging and cringing at the story, but listen, I feel like all of this was a lesson for me to learn something in. And the reason I didn't take it is because when I was trying to use discernment with God, I was asking God if it was okay to like date whatever this person. And God didn't give me an answer at the beginning. So it kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe that's a no. Maybe I should just stand off and stay away from this person. And I think God was just waiting for me to be honest so that he can give me his honest opinion. And when God told me, you could be with this person, but you will be happy. You will not have joy. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, happiness is good. It's good to have happy moments with someone that you're with and all these other things. But he told me that if I waited for the person that he had for me, if I was patient, if I was willing to do the things that I needed to do, then I could have joy. And he said, which one would I want? And I didn't choose the guy that I was crazy about. I chose the guy that God has for me that would give me joy. And it was so hard letting go because I knew I had it could have been a thing, but it was my choice and it was a really hard decision because I really liked that guy. And so I don't know how we even got into this conversation. It's like, what? But yeah, it's just like at the moment that I told God, yes, I do like this guy. And yes, no, I don't want to just have happiness. I want to have joy. I don't want to just be with someone and just have happy moments. I really want to feel the joy that I would get from the person that you have for me. I really want to feel like joy unspeakable, the peace. I really want to have peace in the relationship. And I'm not saying I can't have peace in a happy relationship, but I just knew that if I was with that person, I would have settled. And they wouldn't have known, but I would have resented them probably eventually because I would have felt like I had a choice. Well, maybe not resented them, but I would have felt guilty like within myself, and I wouldn't have been able to be at my best version of myself because in the back of my mind I would have been thinking, okay, I chose this. Like if we had a disagreement or something happened, I probably would have felt like I wonder what joy would have brought in this situation. And so it's so weird how we could think certain things for our life and we could have this idea of what it is that we want, but God has bigger plans for us. He has something else better for us. And I always have to reiterate this in videos because I don't want anyone to feel like it's like a dig or shade or, I'm throwing salt or anything. I don't know what the young people say now, but listen, any of those terms, I don't want it to make it seem like I'm doing any of those things. I'm saying this because I think it's so important to have what God graces for you because although the other person could be an incredible guy who is kind and understanding and patient and so sweet, that might not be the things that are grace for me. It might be grace for somebody else. And the person who's grace for me will give me the things that God knows that I need and not just the things that I want on the surface. So definitely wasn't an easy decision, but it was definitely necessary. And I think everything worked out. Like, although I'm still in the waiting season, although I don't know why I said it like that, it's a blessing. It definitely is a blessing because God has been teaching me so much about myself. I've been learning how to be more patient. I've been learning not to settle just because I'm single. I've been learning how to stand my ground, how to have standards and boundaries, how to not feel guilty for saying no, how to really stick to what it is that I truly want. Because I learned in the past that when I bend to someone else's will, when I gave people too many chances, when I try to make people fit into the life that God was providing for me, it always made me feel insecure. It always made me feel like I was missing something or like I wasn't who God called me to be. I always felt like I was holding myself back for another person. But I know that the person that God has grace for me, I'm going to be able to step into my purpose and be all of the things that God created me to be because that person won't hinder my growth. That person will push me forward. That person won't make me settle. That person will be willing to put forth an effort to be intentional in the best of ways, like with the best of intentions. I don't want someone to be intentionally trying to hurt me. I'm talking about someone intentionally in right standing, doing it for the right reasons. Someone who is intentionally seeking to pursue me, but not in a hunter kind of way, but in a godly kind of way. That will be the type of person. And it'll be because I'm grateful. It'll be because I really appreciated everything that God gave me. It'll be because I don't know why I keep saying although, it'll be because Yeah, I'm just gonna use although I'm in the single season, I am. Why do I keep wanting to say maximizing? I'm just gonna have to use it here. Like AO says, I just need to maximize the single season. I did it. I had to put the shameless plug in there. Okay, it's the whole thing. But but seriously, every single season of our lives, we really do have to appreciate where we are so that God can get us where we're going. He really has taught me so much in this single season, and I'm so grateful for everything. I'm so grateful. I'm going to try not to cry. I'm so grateful that God is the type of God that doesn't just give me what I want, but He gives me what I need. Because if He would have given me, if I would have been with the other guy, I wouldn't have been my best version, and that would have been doing a disservice to him and me, because I wouldn't have been able to fulfill my purpose at my best ability if I was hiding a part of who I was, if I was being something that I'm not, if I was settling for something that I knew I wasn't okay with. It would have never allowed me to be everything that I am. And God is just so good. He really is. He just is always looking out for us, even when we don't know it. Even when we want to get angry, even when we want to be ungrateful, even when we don't want to appreciate the things that we have, God is literally strategizing in the background, everything, making sure that we're good, making sure that we have everything that we need. I haven't had one season of my life that I went without. I always have had everything that I need because God has provided all of my needs. Whenever I get in the single season and I get in I have a moment, a moment where it's just like, oh, it would be nice to be with someone to go to this thing, or oh, I have like a moment or something like that. Then God's like, He'll introduce a person into my life who helps in that season. He will make sure that my friends call me at that exact moment, or a family member or friend will reach out to me and they'll say something that's super silly and I forget all about it. But He literally knows exactly what it is that you need in that moment, and He gives you that. You don't have to ever feel like you're at lack of anything. I never feel insecure with God because I know I have everything that He wants me to have. I have the money that He needs me to have. I mean, my finances aren't what I want them to be, but they're where God needs me to be to stay humble. You know what I'm saying? And my singleness, I'm exactly where God wants me to be because He's showing me my flaws. He's showing me things that I do wrong, things that I say, things that I still need to work on. He's showing me things that how I'm getting stronger. I didn't even realize that I needed work in whatever area, and God allowed certain people to come into my life to teach me something about myself. And I think it's so cool how He does that. Like, if He would have rushed and gave me someone too soon, it would have been disastrous. If God would have gave me the man who was grace for me 2 years ago when I first started this healing journey, I wouldn't have been ready. If God wouldn't have allowed me to see how it feels to settle for something in the past, I would have never thought about having boundaries and healthy standards. If God wouldn't have allowed me to see all of the cool, exciting things that I can do as a single person, I would have never appreciated being by myself. I would have never loved myself. You know, God is just so amazing. Ooh, I try not to cry on these videos, but when I talk about God, it's just a whole thing. Like, I wish I could say it don't take all of that, but it really does. Like, everything God is amazing. Everything that He is amazing. I can't do one video without mentioning Him because I wouldn't be here without Him. I mean that in so many different ways. Whew, okay. I'm about to end this because we don't need to be crying the whole video. Like, it's a whole thing now and then turn into like a cry sesh. But no, seriously, like, I wish everyone could know about the goodness of God and they could really feel how I feel. I this is just like a little funny thing that happened, but I have been I have gotten so content with where I am in my single season that when people come into my life, it's like, okay, it's cool that they're there and, I get to know them or whatever else. But when they leave, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't feel like I'm at lack of anything. I don't feel like they left and took a part of me. Like, I never thought I was going to get there. Oh my gosh. God is so good. God is so amazing. He really is. All right, I need to go because it's 20 minutes and I don't want to make these videos too long. But if you are going to start being grateful because you realize that complaining, ain't nobody listening to you complain anyways. Not only that, but you're blocking your blessings. Put grateful in the comments. And also log back in tomorrow for tomorrow's live. It will be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. So I hope to see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow because I know you're going to want more of this. But no, definitely put grateful, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for watching.